one of the attributes of the Christian God is that God is perfect, and one of the objections raised to that is that if God is perfect, why did He design a universe with so many imperfections and whatnot? And the response often is that how do we know that what we think is perfect is what He would think is perfect? So my question is, that would lead me to think that the proposition that God is perfect is non-falsifiable. Is that proposition falsifiable? And if so, what would be a what would be an observation that would falsify it?
All right, you said a number of things. Let me first deal with the argument, because I thought Dr. Pigliucci would bring this up tonight. The argument seems to go like this. Premise one, if a divine designer exists, plants and animals would have optimal design. Premise two, plants and animals do not have optimal design. Three, therefore, a divine designer does not exist. Now, the weakest premise in this argument, I think, is clearly the first, and Dr. Pigliucci has never given any argument as to why, if a divine designer exists, plants and animals have to have optimal design. It seems to me that a designer is free to make whatever kind of creatures he wants. An automotive engineer can design a Ford Fiesta or a Lexus. He's free to do what he wants. God could even choose to use evolution to create living creatures, in which case you would expect to see these sorts of things. What I found in our last debate was that Dr. Pigliucci's belief in this first premise is actually based on a faulty theological inference. He thought that because Christianity says that God is perfect, that therefore the world is perfect. But neither the Bible nor Christian theology has ever made this sort of implication. And in fact, I think the idea of a perfect animal or a perfect plant is probably an incoherent idea. The second thing I'd want to say is I think the second premise is also false. Optimality in design always involves a compromise of competing factors or variables. And in Dr. Pigliucci's examples that he uses, like the human eye or human metabolism or other things, overall optimality is achieved even if optimality in one respect is constrained by other respects and needs that the organism has. For example, I can show you some wonderful articles on how the optimal design of the vertebrate eye necessitates having the blood vessels and the nerves in front of the retina in order to supply massive quantities of oxygen for high acuity in the mammalian eyes. So it's not a design flaw at all. So I think this argument is just invalid or unsound. It's got two false premises.